Welcome to the Parent Training on how to motivate your child during distance learning using PBIS principles at home. By the end of this training, participants will be able to understand why it is critical to be involved in the PBIS school process and feel comfortable using PBIS motivations at home. Students will be able to maintain behavioral expectations from school to home or while distance learning. Understanding PBIS. PBIS stands for Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports. PBIS helps parents create and maintain a safe, structured, consistent home environment where adult to child relationships are strengthened. It is especially helpful when events disrupt normal routines, events like worldwide health pandemics. The steps for establishing a positive, consistent home environment include defining the behavior routines by teaching the desired behavior expectation, practicing the behavior, reinforcing success by acknowledging desired behavior. All school matrices. All schools in the Lancaster School District have developed a set of expectations or rules for your child's behavior at school and while distance learning. Staff teach these expectations to all students and recognize and reward students who meet them. The expectations will be the same for students in all areas of the school, including the playground, lunchroom, classroom, and on the bus. Here is an example of a school PBIS matrix. Children's problem behavior may be prevented or reduced when behavior expectations are clearly defined and taught. Being safe, respectful, and responsible are three universal expectations often used as a basis for establishing positive behavior. As you can see on this slide, the behaviors are clearly defined on how students should act in the bathrooms, hallway, playground, and cafeteria. Here is an example of a PBIS matrix for expected classroom behavior. As mentioned before, the three universal expectations for establishing positive behaviors are included here, and those are being responsible, safe, and respectful. These universal expectations can be used to define how specific behaviors will look at home. Here is an example of a PBIS matrix made for home or distance learning. This PBIS matrix shows behavioral expectations for learning at home, free time, using technology, and supporting the family. For example, being safe while learning at home looks like only emailing or communicating with those you know and trust. Being responsible while using free time or playing at home looks like cleaning up after an activity. And being respectful while supporting the family looks like using kind words and encouraging others. Guidelines for caregivers. Different schools, different expectations. Different homes, different expectations. Different homes may have different expectations for their children's behavior. Whatever you as a parent decide is right and okay for your home, it is important that you set the expectations and follow through. Remember that every child is different, even children in the same family living in the same home. What works for some children will not work for all. An important guideline to remember is to use positive wording. Instead of "don't run in the store," try "you must walk in the store." Instead of "stop yelling," try "use your inside voice." Instead of "no throwing the ball in the house," try "you can only throw the ball outside." Number 2, be a teacher. When you have to say no, give a reason why. For example, while shopping, your child asks you to buy him a toy. You know how many toys he already has, and you are short on time. You tell your child, "No, we can't buy that toy today because you already have a toy in the car that you can play with on the way home." If your child accepts your answer, compliment him, saying something like, "Thank you for being respectful and understanding that we can't buy a new toy today." Number 3, acknowledge appropriate behavior. Use positive reinforcement to teach your children which actions or behaviors are expected, accepted, or desired. Figure out what kinds of acknowledgments your child will be motivated by. Ask them what they would enjoy doing, not necessarily having. Create a special reward basket or box of toys or items that you already own, but that your child only gets to play with or use when they have done what was expected. Create a visual recognition system, such as a sticker chart. For example, list your child's weekly chores and use a sticker to mark when each one is completed. At the end of the week, if all chores are completed according to expectation, give a reward. Steps to implementing PBIS at home. When thinking about how you would like to create your at-home PBIS matrix that clearly defines your behavioral expectations, I would encourage you to adopt the universal expectations of being respectful, responsible, and safe. It is also encouraged for you to think about your daily routines. Create a behavior matrix that outlines what you expect from your kids at home at various times throughout the day, such as getting ready in the morning, riding in the car, doing your part, homework time, meal time, getting ready for bed, pet care, TV time, whatever you know that your family does on a regular basis that needs behavioral expectations, make sure you put that in your PBIS matrix. To make the PBIS process successful at home, it is important to have the whole family involved. Hold a family meeting to include the children as you work through each step. Explain the expected behaviors. It's great to get input from your kids, but don't feel like you need their approval. They are your expectations, and you are the adult. Demonstrate, discuss, and/or role play each expected behavior. Explain the what the positive reinforcement will be and what the consequences will be. Positive reinforcement. It is absolutely essential that you consistently provide positive reinforcement when your children behave as you expect. Some ideas include each child could have a goal and earn a reward for reaching their individual goal. You could have a family goal. You could offer a menu of rewards, some big, some small, that children can buy with points that they earn. You could do a lottery-style drawing in which more entries equals more chances to win. Don't be afraid to get creative. Here are some examples of positive reinforcements for your child, such as reward coupons. All of these activities are things that can be done at home. Some of my favorite reward coupons are the pillow fort and the movie night. I've noticed that kids love spending time with the family. Try your best to create reward coupons with things that can be done as a family. In this slide, we have dazzling behavior jars. These are great because it is a visual representation of how close they are to reaching the goal that was set when they do their schoolwork and follow the at-home matrix. They are rewarded with tickets each day. Once they reach a certain amount, they reach their goal. Here are some examples of some goals kids could work towards. Movie night, making and eating ice cream, watching a video before bed, 30 minutes of computer time, going on a bike ride, and choosing the dinner menu. Step 4 is consequences. Problem behavior will come. It is inevitable. And when it does, it is important that we interrupt and redirect from the unwanted behavior. Remember, children cry, grab, scream, and beg because they are trying to communicate something to you. Children will continue to use a behavior even if it's inappropriate, as long as it helps them meet a need. For example, a younger child who wants your attention may continually interrupt you whenever you are on the phone or whenever you're trying to do your work during the worldwide pandemic. Why? Because it works. You respond even though it may be negative attention. The behavior is reinforced, and your child is likely to do it again. The only way to change this habit is to teach them what we call replacement behaviors. These are new behaviors that are socially acceptable. The only way to teach these behaviors is to model and practice them. When problem behaviors occur, it's important for you to stay calm, remind your child of the expectation, reteach, model, and or have your child practice the appropriate behavior and then give an appropriate consequence. When setting appropriate consequences, it is recommended that you set meaningful consequences and discuss them beforehand at the family meeting so that they are aware of what the consequences will be. Let's go through an example of what the consequences process will look like. Imagine your student does not want to go to their online classes, but they want to watch television. You say no, and they throw a tantrum. You remind them of the expectation of being responsible and safe in the house. You then let them know that you understand that they are frustrated with not being able to watch television. However, the expectation was that they would complete their work. You let them know that an appropriate way to respond to frustrations is to ask for a moment alone or to take a couple of deep breaths. You demonstrate what that will look like by taking a couple of deep breaths and then ask them to do the same by practicing to ask for taking a break and then taking some deep breaths. You then give them an appropriate consequence that was agreed upon during your family meeting. So why should you try PBIS at home? Appropriate behaviors at home can transfer to school and vice versa. You will feel better when you focus on what is going right. Your kids will notice and respond to this positive change in you, and in turn give you even more reasons to feel positive. I hope by the end of this training, which is now, that I helped convince you to incorporate PBIS into your home during distance